In Chapter 2, we're going to be getting our evidence, but we want to make sure our evidence is valid. So we're going to collect good data or evidence. So we're going to have a procedure to follow. A review. Population, if you recall, is the entire group of objects or individuals that we're going to study. If they happen to be people, we call them subjects. A parameter, then, is a value or a measurement that we calculated from the population. That means we used everybody in the population to get this value. Since we used everybody, this value is fixed, meaning it's not going to change if you were to go calculate it from the population, and if I was. It's fixed because all subjects or objects were used. So again, if you were to go calculate the GPA of all SKC students, and I did the same, we should end up with the same value. We have a symbol for the size of the population, and that is uppercase N. And here's a way to remember kind of that definition. If you're looking at a parameter, it came from a population. So the next instance is when we have a sample. If you recall, a sample is part of the population. We can't normally look at everyone in the population or every item in the population, so we take a sample. So a statistic then is a value calculated from the sample. So you are in a statistics class, so that means that you are going to look at samples instead of populations. Problem with a statistic is this: it's going to vary. For instance, if you were to take 30 people from SKC and calculate their GPA, I was to take a different 30 from SKC and calculate their GPA, most likely we wouldn't match. We might, but oftentimes we're going to vary from sample to sample. So that's going to create a problem, but we'll deal with that later. Then the symbol used for the size of the sample is a lowercase n. Let's look at some examples here. And if I look, the Bureau of Labor Statistics looked at a sample of 60,000 households, and this is the percent that they received. So since it came from a sample, the 6.2% is the statistic. The 60,000 is lowercase n because it came from the sample. A telemarketing firm looked at random 100 numbers, and 43 were unlisted. 52% of all residents are unlisted. So when we take a look at this, the 43 came from the sample, so it is a statistic, but the 52% came from all LA residents, so we call that a parameter. Why use a sample instead of a population? Well, if you look at a population, oftentimes you won't see everyone. It's cheaper to get a sample, and it actually makes the study possible. Let's go up and finish our notes on this. A variable is what is being measured. What am I looking at? Why is the study being done? So in the case of the GPA and SK students, the study is being done because I'm looking at GPA. So that would be my variable. Now there's a Let's Do It on page 88, 2.1. The first value is a parameter, and the second one is a statistic. So you might want to check yourself on that, as well as your web work, and your practice problems will contain problems just like those.